41-39 score. Do you know what's significant about that particular score at Granville?
What?
That is the first time in NFL history that has been a final score in an NFL game. 41-39 had never been done before, ever, until Thursday.
So that's the same. You talking about me, bro? Who's blowing up your phone, man?
Don't know.
And then the brother does not even have it on vibrate. He just got it on all.
I forgot again.
So the Rams put up 41.
Yes.
On the San Francisco 49ers.
Right.
And the Seahawks could only put up 12 on them.
That's pretty bad. But yesterday, of course, was NFL Sunday, which again, for those that tuned in late or missed last week, I am boycotting the NFL. I am not watching it. But however, I do get my information because we do have a show and we do our due diligence. So yesterday was kind of a strange day as far as, well, you got Trump tweeting about NFL players need to be fired if they're kneeling down. You got teams that were staying in the locker room for the national anthem. And then you got games that surprised many. Like, for instance, Patriots and the Texans. The Texans probably should have won that game, but they don't have Tom Brady. And if you got Tom Brady, 9 times out of 10, you're going to come back and win. And that's exactly what he did. You got the Jets beating up on the Dolphins.
Well, back to that game.
Right, rewind.
Yeah, just don't move so fast, bro.
Man.
Yeah, just don't move so fast.
Come on.
Because that was a good game.
Yes, 36-33.
You've got to give Deshaun Watson some props.
Definitely.
He was 22 of 31 for 301 and 2 TDs.
Bro, you said at the beginning of the season that he was going to take over.
Yeah.
And we didn't know that it was going to be game 1, second half. But you know what? Hey, he's taking over, and that's right now we could probably say that's his team.
Yo, it's definitely his team.
After
after Sunday, it's definitely his team.
Yeah.
Even though he was leaving the field singing little Charlie Wilson. Tom Brady, you dropped the bomb on me.
Yes.
Brady.
Yeah. But anyway,
Brady dropped the bomb, a 25-yard TD to Brandon Cooks with 25 seconds left to give the Patriots the 36-33 win.
Ask the Falcons. Anyway, so the Jets beat the Dolphins. That was a surprise. You got the Ravens got smoked.
Jets. Give me a minute to commentate on the games when you just run through them like that, bro.
Okay,
you just want to run through them, man. Come on, man.
Hey, what did your boy do?
The Jets and the Dolphins. My boy? Who's my boy?
Curse.
I don't know what Curse did in that game. I do know that I want to talk about my man, the $10 million man, the dude they begged out of retirement. Jake Cutler.
There you go.
He had a .22 quarterback rating in that game. .22.
Yeah, well,
So
who's shocked?
Well, I'm just saying that he is officially on the quitter's watch.
Right.
Officially. Jake Cutler, he will quit on you. Moving right along. Oh, Jets for the win.
All right.
Got to go there. Who's the next?
Well, the Jags blew up the Ravens 44-7 in London. You got Ray Lewis on the sidelines kneeling with the
down on 2 knees.
Yeah, I'm like,
looking like Eddie Murphy in Trading Places.
Give me a break, dude. You know what? You know what? I'm not giving him no more airtime. I've said what I said, and that's it. So they got smoked. And then, you know what? My Steelers, man, they let me down. They got beat by the Chicago Bears. But, the Steelers have always had problems in Chicago. They played there, I think, 9 or 10 times. You know how many wins they got in Chicago?
All I know is they got beat by Mike Glennon, man. Mike Glennon?
I know.
Mike Glennon?
But they got one victory
Mike Tomlin.
In Chicago. That's crazy.
That's what you get for keeping him in the locker room.
Man.
Come on, Mike Tomlin.
I got some off-air news I can tell you about that.
Well, I know that Pete Carroll said that Mike Tomlin called him and asked him what they were doing, what the Seahawks were doing. And he said that he told him that that they had voted to keep the players in the locker room.
Okay.
So he doesn't know if that persuaded Tomlin to keep them in the locker room, if he'd already had his mind made up to do that, but that's what they did.
Yeah.
But Carroll said that Tomlin had placed the call to him earlier that morning.
You know, maybe he thought, I'm going to do it, but you know what, let me check on somebody else real quick. Yeah, and Villanueva, who actually was the only Steeler to stand and be there for the anthem later on during a press conference, said that he had made a mistake by doing that. He felt that he let his teammates down by doing that, so he regrets that he did that.
Yeah, Ben Roethlisberger actually came out and said that there's no way that they're staying in the locker room next Sunday, that they want to be out on the field.
Okay.
And
Is it a home game? Probably a home game.
No, they'll be on the road next week.
Okay.
But he said that he couldn't sleep all night because they didn't go out on the field. And he said that they need to go out on the field and let whatever happens, happens.
All right. Now, to address this, folks, that the teams are not going out on the field, now you got people boycotting the NFL because players are taking a knee or not coming out for the national anthem. So, what in essence they're saying is that a flag and a song is more important than a black life. Because if you wasn't boycotting the NFL because taking a stand for supporting Colin Kaepernick, now you're going to try and take a stand and boycott the NFL because you claim players are disrespecting the flag and the anthem. Well, your whole train of thought is messed up. I mean, that's just, man. I don't even know I don't even understand how that could be your train of thought. I mean, people say, well, I'm just honoring my veterans and people that have gone to war, have lost life, limb to serve and to protect. Yeah, you know what? So did black people in World War II, in Korea, and Vietnam. They fought, they lost limbs, they died to serve and protect this country. And you know what they came home to? They came home to separate entrances to restrooms and establishments. They came home to separate water fountains. They came home to dog bites and fire hoses. They came home to being called nigger openly. Okay? So, and those are veterans. Okay? There were veterans that were riding a bus and were dragged off the bus and beaten because he was wearing his uniform. Okay? So so those veterans don't count?
Yeah, I mean, they do count, but they don't count to some people. All that counts to some people is their experience. And if you're only basing something upon your experience and not listening to the other side and what their experience is, then you're missing the whole thing. Black people in America know what they have gone through and continue to go through. And so if you don't respect black people enough when they say that they have been oppressed, that they have been treated unfair, that they have been victims of racial prejudices, animosities, and institutional racism, and they're tired of it, then what? I mean, I listened to a guy today run down how nothing has changed since Muhammad Ali and Jackie Robinson, and then in the same breath said, I don't know what these guys are protesting about.
That's ridiculous.
What kind of sense does that make?
It doesn't make any sense, man.
Right?
None.
That makes no sense. If you understand that it's all been happening since then it needs to change.
And then another thing people are saying is, well, these athletes are $1 million athletes and they're paid well, and so they shouldn't be protesting. But those are the people that actually should be. Because the poor people that protest, that are in the streets, and they're called thugs and rioters. So you don't want that. But a person in the NFL, a player in the NFL who makes millions of dollars is doing a peaceful protest in a particular event that is seen on TV, and he's making his feelings known and making the plight of black oppression known to people, yet you don't like that either. So what kind of protest do you want? I know what kind of protest you want. You want no protest. You want us to shut the heck up, okay,
and let you watch football.
Yeah, that's it. You don't want any kind of protest because you don't want peaceful, and you definitely don't want riots and things like that. So
when you look in the history of this country, there's a man by the name of Patrick Henry. Patrick Henry said in his protest, "Give me liberty or give me death." He didn't care what you thought about it. He didn't care about your feelings about it. He just wanted his liberation. And so it's really a fallacy for anyone to tell someone how to protest.
Right, exactly.
People don't protest under terms.
Right.
Right?
Just like when you lose someone in your life and you grieve. There's no protocol to tell somebody how to grieve a lost one. So there's no, it's not the same, but the point is there's no right way to grieve. And there's no way for me to tell you how to protest.
I want to make this plain for you that have an ear to hear that the protest started by Colin Kaepernick. He sat down because he did not want to stand for the national anthem because of what was happening in America in terms of the police killings of unarmed black people and the oppression of people of color in the United States of America. So he sat down as a way of silently protesting. It wasn't until someone asked him why he was sitting down around the third or fourth preseason game after he had been sitting that he said that it was because he didn't feel right standing for the anthem for a country that did that to people. Right. So if you don't understand, I want you to put yourself in the situation where you have been unable to have access to education, jobs, and an opportunity to develop yourself as a man or a woman in the country where you are a citizen, and then you are harassed by a police department that you are paying your tax money to work in your neighborhood
to serve and protect,
and then they turn around and harass you, abuse you, and unjustifiably kill you. Now look, let's go back to Lamar Smith 2 weeks ago in St. Louis. This young man was hunted down by a police officer carrying an AK-47 rifle, illegal for him to carry, shot Lamar Smith and killed him, then planted a gun, was not even smart enough to put the gun in Lamar Smith's hand, so only his DNA evidence was on the gun, and this man walked scot-free last weekend while Lamar Smith is 6 foot under and his family is grieving. That's why Colin Kaepernick took a knee.
Right.
That is wrong. People say, well, what's the end game? What's the end game to the protest? The end game to the protest is to change the law where police officers cannot go free where they are clearly guilty. You are listening to Lidline Sports with Renault Pepe Bean and Granville Emerson. We'll be right back after this.
Man, that was fire.
Hello, I'm Granville Emerson along with Renault Pepe Bean, and welcome back to Lidline Sports on Rainier Avenue Radio. World. We were talking about the controversy of the year.
Yeah, you can say that. Sure.
It all went down this weekend when the president, the 45th president of the United States of America, at a rally in Alabama, George Wallace style. If you don't know who George Wallace is or was, he was a racist governor of the state of Alabama, and Donald Trump channeled him and, in essence, said that the players that were protesting, specifically Colin Kaepernick, and not standing for the national anthem during NFL games were sons of bitches.
Yeah.
Which is, when I heard it, the absolute most insane thing that I've ever heard out of the mouth of any government official. That is the most insane thing I've ever heard for a president of these United States to be that ignorant and that profane.
Yes, definitely. It's ridiculous.
And anybody that does not see that this man is not wrapped tight, you must not be wrapped tight either.
Can't be.
Because you cannot divide people like this man is dividing people and be the president of the United States.
Right.
A country where its whole premises is supposed to be on welcoming people to the country,
right,
to live out your dreams,
yes,
under the freedom that's enabled you within this Constitution of these United States.
Right.
That's the whole premise of this country and the whole purpose of this country. And the issue is that black people in America and Hispanic people in America have not been able to realize the full potential of the promise of America.
Right.
That's the whole premise of what's happening. And so for the president, the man in the highest office,
yes,
to call a player who exercises his right as a citizen for what people have gone to Korea and Vietnam and Afghanistan and Iraq,
yes,
and have given their lives for the freedom that's supposed to be given to citizens of these United States, he has single-handedly strangled that.
yes,
Single-handedly strangled their freedom. The President of the United States. And I don't know, I said this, Pep, people are like, what's wrong with him? And I'm like, well, I don't know. You know, I always say there's two things, Pep. Pressure bursts pipes, and pressure can create diamonds. Maybe the pressure of his incompetence as a president, not being able to get any real legislation passed. He's passed no legislation except for what he's done with the executive order.
right.
He's got Mueller hot on his tail, coming down on him on the Russia thing.
Yeah, and that's being deflected by all this, what we're talking about now.
It ain't deflecting Mueller.
Right.
He's lining his ducks up, and I believe he will take him out. I absolutely love the players' response to President Trump, like Richard Sherman, basically saying that I believe that also that Richard Sherman was like the catalyst toward both the NFL and the NFLPA pretty much coming out quickly with statements condemning the words from President Trump. I don't know for a fact if that's true or not, but I do know that Richard Sherman was like one of the first people to tweet, and I quote, "The behavior of the president is unacceptable and needs to be addressed. If you do not condemn this divisive rhetoric, you are condoning it." So
That's pretty spot on to me.
So the NFL has taken up the charge of I'm saying a fake display
Yeah.
of unity, which the fake was what I saw on Monday Night Football with the Dallas Cowboys, who came out and knelt before the national anthem and then stood during the national anthem. What? You're making a mockery of the whole thing. If you're going to just come out and kneel in prayer before the national anthem, you're not in line with the protest. You're just having team prayer.
Yeah, that's it.
Right?
That's it.
So, Jerry Jones, you just created a little photo op to make it seem like you were doing what the players wanted and the protesters wanted, but you could still go back to Donald Trump and say, I had my players stand for the national anthem.
Now, you stated that the NFL players had written a letter to the NFL, Roger Goodell. Can you entail what's in that letter?
Yeah, it's a 10-page letter authored by Seattle Seahawks Michael Bennett.
Right.
And
also Torrey Smith and Malcolm Jenkins of the Philadelphia Eagles. And I forgot the fourth person. There was someone else. His name escapes me right now. And team, so I apologize for that. But yeah, but they were looking for some kind of significant unity, like a unity month, like like breast cancer, like the breast cancer.
So what it would be like Breast Cancer Awareness Month. Mm-hmm. Teams would be charged during the week to do specific things in the community as it relates to racial justice and the reform of the criminal justice system.
Okay.
So it would bring awareness to the country,
right,
to the severity of the problem in terms of racial justice.
Yeah, because apparently America is not aware of the severity of the problem. Obviously,
they're not aware of the severity of the problem. And here's a problem in America.
No, they're aware. They just don't care.
They don't care. And then there's opposition. There's opposition to change. Okay?
Yeah, definitely.
There's opposition to change. I always say people don't like change. Change is inevitable. Change is going to happen. But people don't like change too much. Because people don't really change.
Yeah, the only thing that stays the same is that there's going to be change.
Yeah. That change is constant, right?
That's right.
So to bring the Unity Month would be to bring awareness to racial injustices in America and to be hands-on in the community, trying to support organizations that are fighting against racial injustice,
right,
and organizations that are promoting criminal justice reform. That's what needs to happen. If America is ever going to be...
Now, the NFL did respond. However, I wasn't able to get that response before we came on the air. Did you happen to see that?
No.
Okay.
They responded today?
Yes. The NFL did respond to that. Their response did not address, I do know this much, that their response did not address the call for the Unity Month. However, I don't know any other specifics because, like I said before we came on the air, the response came out.
Well, I heard Tony Softly, ex-Carolina Panthers and St. Louis Rams front office personnel member, say on KJR Sports Radio earlier today that they were going to be implementing the Unity Month. He didn't elaborate on it.
Okay.
So I'll have to research that and see what is actually true or not.
Right.
And we'll have that for you next time on Lidline Sports.
Right.
But that's what the league should do. The league should do in this instance. And I said this morning, I posted this morning on my social media, like, okay, you had the little fake protest or photo op, or whatever you want to call it, saying that you are in agreement with the need for change. Pete Carroll in Seattle making the most profound and serious statement that I've heard anybody say, and when he said that it's or we can no longer be silent, and then we have to stand up and we have to get involved and we have to make change.
There you go. That's it in a nutshell.
And I need to see the NFL no longer be silent, stand up, get involved, and provoke change.
There you go.
Change has to be provoked.
It does.
And so if we do that, then we can enjoy football. I heard Rod, his name escapes me right now. He's on Fox Sports with Shannon Sharp. Rod Parker.
Parker.
And he said it eloquently today that sports has always been a level playing field. It's always been, can you play?
Yeah.
I don't care what color you are.
Right.
Can you play?
Oh, if you can play, they're gonna find you and put you on and have you.
Pep, you played.
Yeah.
I played. I didn't care what color the dude was on my team. If you were good, I want you on my squad.
Yeah.
If we're choosing squads and he's Asian and he can hoop and you're black and you can't,
Asians up here that can hoop.
I'm taking the Asian dude.
Yeah.
I do not care.
I can name some.
Sports has always been about your individual talent.
Right.
Not the color of your skin.
That's correct.
And it's not even really been about the content of your character because in the NFL they got some shady characters in the NFL.
Whoa.
But life should be about the content of your character and your talent,
and everybody
skill
should get a
set.
fair chance.
Yes, you should have a
fair opportunity.
Fair opportunity to compete.
Right.
To compete in school, to compete in jobs, and that it may be wishful thinking, but we at least need to aspire towards that.
Right.
We need to, we said it before on this show, we need to take the best of what's about sports, and that is it, and apply it to society at large. That it doesn't matter who you are, what color you are, can you do the job?
Yeah.
Can you get into the school? Can you do the schoolwork?
Right.
And make sure that people are prepared adequately to compete.
Yes.
And given opportunities. Donald Trump went after the NBA. Man, the dude was on one.
Boy, he was on it. He was on one for sure.
Stephen Curry said he wasn't going to go to the White House. After winning the NBA championship, the Warriors were scheduled to go to the White House like most teams do.
Right.
And Stephen Curry said he didn't want to go. And then Trump fires off a tweet saying that he's uninvited. You know what's funny?
Right.
Greg Popovich said, that's like he said that's like a sixth grader who's going to have a party in his backyard and finds out that you don't want to come, so he tells you you're not invited.
Yeah.
You wasn't going anyway.
Right.
Right?
And in the NBA schedule, the Warriors were actually scheduled to have a day off where they would be in Washington, D.C., and so instead of going to the White House, they are going to do some community service work there while they are in D.C.
Yeah, Steve Kerr said they will probably do some community service work and also go to the museums and the new African American Museum in Washington, D.C.
Okay.
I know when we were back there, the Seattle Prep Panthers, where I'm assistant boys basketball coach, I loved it. We would get up in the morning and hop on the train and go down to the Smithsonian and down on the mall and go all over. And it was very educational. And so I'm sure that they will take the opportunity to do that while they're there in D.C.
Now, what did LeBron say about Trump?
LeBron went off. LeBron said, and I quote, well, let me preface this by saying that Trump said that it was an honor to come to the White House. And LeBron said, you bum. At Steph Curry 30 already said he ain't going. So therefore, ain't no invite. Going to the White House was a great honor until you showed up.
That's right.
End quote.
Oops.
Tell us what you really feel about it, LeBron.
Yeah. Brown.
So, they're not going to the White House.
Nah, and neither is University of North Carolina.
They're not going to the White House either.
Nope.
They said they're not going to the White House.
Well, they attribute that to quote-unquote scheduling conflicts, but we already know.
Convenient scheduling.
Yeah, we know.
All right, folks. Well,
all right.
Back to NFL football.
Yes, and I'm sure Seahawks fans want to hear our take on this particular game with Tennessee. Now, you watched it, correct?
I did watch it.
Okay.
I was actually pumped up behind Pete Carroll's statement to the NFL. I did two things over the weekend, folks. I had decided that I was going to watch the pregame to see what the protests were going to go on, and then turn the game off and not watch the game, which I did.
Okay.
But then I felt like I needed to support the Seahawks, and I needed to support Pete Carroll for standing up and being for real. Now, I've gotten some flack behind that.
Yeah.
But I look at it like this. This is what happened. People listen to sound bites. And I just don't want to argue with everybody who wants to argue with me on the internet. So
Right.
a lot of times I'll say, yeah, you're right. And just keep it moving.
Okay.
And so the guy said that if everybody did what I did in the NFL, there'd be no boycott. That's not true. Because everybody can't do what I'm doing because every NFL team didn't do what the Seahawks did.
Right.
So that's false. Right?
Right.
And if every team did what the Seahawks did, maybe we'd be on the way towards doing something actually. Right?
Correct.
Okay, so number one, Colin Kaepernick, the Seattle Seahawks was the only team to bring him in. Number two, we discussed it on this show.
Several times.
I went through and listened to the Pete Carroll interview. The Pete Carroll does say, yeah, he's a starting quarterback. That's what everybody harps on. Pete Carroll said he was a starting quarterback. If he wanted to sign him, he signed him. No, they cut the interview off before Pete Carroll, and we talked about this on the show before Pete Carroll said that we were not close on money.
Right.
Right?
That's right.
And then at that time, what did I tell you? That says that they made him an offer.
Yes. And he said no.
And we said that they were lowballing him.
Yes.
Because they were only offering $900,000.
Right.
So rather than Pete Carroll saying, well, we only offered to do $900,000, Pete Carroll says,
now remember,
he's a starter.
Remember, Jay Cutler got $10 million.
Right.
So, okay.
Which is what Colin Kaepernick was asking for. And I talked about that then too.
Okay.
Right? So Colin Kaepernick, his agent is not going to let him sign for $900,000.
No.
Right? So that's how that went down.
Yeah.
Seattle Seahawks now, if they want to break their corporate policy and oversign for players, which they do not do,
right?
Yes, they could have done that and messed up their salary cap structure.
Mm-hmm.
They could have done that. But they don't do that.
Mm-mm.
Just like they don't renegotiate players' contracts during their contract.
Right, or during the contract, correct.
And they don't reward people for holding out. You want to know who will testify to that?
Cam Chancellor.
Cam Chancellor. Right?
Mm-hmm.
So they did not renegotiate Cam Chancellor's contract. They didn't renegotiate Marshawn Lynch's contract.
Right.
What they did was when his contract was up, they gave him an extra $5 million. Well, actually, they did renegotiate. They restructured.
There you go.
Marshawn Lynch's contract.
Right.
They didn't give him any more money.
Right.
They gave him some money earlier.
Yeah.
Okay. Cam Chancellor wanted more money. And they said, no, we don't do that.
Mm-mm.
But when your contract comes up, we will reward you. So what happened this year?
He got rewarded.
Yeah. That's what they do. So I'm not going to, sit up here and say, because I think that's wrong too. I think that's wrong too. And it's a hell of emotional for me to say, you should have signed Colin Kaepernick. We already got a starting quarterback.
Right.
If they come to Kaepernick and say, will you play for $900,000, that's his choice to take that.
It sure is.
He didn't.
No.
I wouldn't have either.
No.
Right?
Definitely not.
But I really cannot blame them. They brought him in. Pete Carroll said, if we need to go get him, we know what we're going to get. So that's saying if Russell gets hurt,
they're getting Colin Kaepernick.
that's where they're going.
There you go.
Okay? But the rest of these teams in the league, there's a bunch of teams that should have signed him. Baltimore should have signed him. They just benched Joe Flacco. Jacksonville should have signed him. There's a bunch of teams that should have signed him.
Bunch of teams, man. Miami. Hello?
Miami should have signed him. So, and now I feel like all this nonsense about it'll be too much of a PR nightmare to sign Colin Kaepernick. You done already had the PR nightmare this weekend.
Right.
So that's over. You could just sign him right now and it won't be nothing. It will be all a part of what's going on right now.
Exactly.
Exactly? Exactly.
Yes.
And so
on to the game. I didn't see it, but you did. However, I will make my assessment. Apparently, from what I can tell, and I have talked to some people, once again, the Seattle Seahawks defense is on the field too long. Seattle offense, of course, as normal, can't get going in the first half or first quarter. 3 and outs, short drives. So that means the defense is right back on the field again. And I told you last week that there's going to come a time where the defense is just going to, they're just not going to have it. Okay, they had it the first half, but the second half, from what I can tell, they were gassed. As I said, would happen. So what happens? Well, they gave up 21 points in the third quarter. And, Seattle finally got some offense going in the fourth quarter, but it was too little too late.
Pep, the Seahawks' problem is Darrell Bevell.
We know this.
I'm going to keep saying it.
It is. And I don't understand how people defend this guy.
I don't see how people...
Ad nauseum.
I don't see how the Seahawks don't see it. I really don't. I mean, are they too close that they can't see?
I don't get it.
Because
either.
it's just one game that I watched, right? I watched the game, and they went out of their first 5 possessions, 3 and out 4 times.
They did the same thing in Green Bay.
So here's my thing. I thought the offensive line played pretty well.
Okay.
My thing is Darrell Bevell will not keep the defense off balance. He gets into this throw, or run. I'm like, dude, will you
mix it up?
Will you run the ball sometimes in obvious pass situations? Like, come on, man.
Yeah.
It's
a chess game,
it's
man.
2nd down and 7. Run the freaking ball.
It's a chess game, and he's playing checkers.
Right? It's 2nd down and 7. Run a sprint draw. Run a draw. Run a trap. Come on, man. Mix it up. Right? It's 3rd and 2. Throw a bomb. Right?
Yeah, of course. Yes.
Come on, man.
Yeah.
It's 3rd and 2. Go long. 31. Go long.
Yeah.
Mix it up.
Please.
That's what everybody does.
And it works.
Yes.
As good as our defense is, man.
Our problem with our defense Sunday is with 108 degrees.
Right.
In the first half, we played really, really well.
Right.
And we were winning at one point, 14-9. We played really, really well. But we were on the field twice as much as Tennessee's defense in 108-degree weather.
Man, remember, that same thing happened in San Diego 2 years ago.
Yes, I remember.
2 years ago, Seattle went to San Diego.
It was hot.
It was 100 degrees. It was the hottest San Diego had been in years. And it just so happened to be that day. And Antonio Gates destroyed them. He had 3 touchdowns. And the Seahawks lost by like 10 points, which hardly ever did. So once again, they go to Tennessee. It's hot. And, the defense stays on the field.
They're on the field all the time.
And they get gassed. But I said that was going to happen.
Yeah, like I said last week, when they're on the field all the time, they are not the same defense in the fourth quarter and at the end of the game.
The defense has to be tired of that. I mean, there's got to be some kind of divide between the
Oh, there is. You don't think there's not?
Oh, I know there is.
Well, that was the whole thing behind Darrell Bevell, Richard Sherman's blow-up last year with Darrell Bevell. So, that ain't over.
Yeah.
Chris Carson, 11 carries for 34 yards.
34. And that was the high guy.
Whew.
Man.
Top 10, college top 10, Alabama.
Yes.
59-0 over Vandy.
Right.
Clemson, 34-7 over Boston College, number 2.
And then Oklahoma.
Oklahoma beat Baylor. Great game, 49-41. Baker Mayfield with the go-ahead TD. Abdul Adams and Trey Sermon both rushed for 140 yards plus each.
That's crazy.
Penn State 21-19, tough win at Iowa.
Iowa's tough.
USC broke open a 13-13 halftime tie to win 30-20. I watched that game. They had too many horses for Cal.
Yeah.
Washington moves up a spot to 6, Pep.
Yeah, that second half.
Georgia looks tough. Nick Chubb.
Well, Georgia's got that quarterback from here,
I watched him. He's nice.
J.P.
True freshman.
Yeah.
No, he's not starting. Another dude started. He's a true freshman.
Really?
Yeah.
What?
Yeah, Eastman didn't start. True freshman started. I don't remember his name. It was like Foles or something like that.
Oh, man.
Michigan 28-10 at Purdue.
Mm-hmm.
I got to watch Michigan. TCU climbs into the top 10 after beating Oklahoma State. And I thought they were really good the way that they just blasted whoever they played last week.
Yeah.
Wisconsin is 10. They were idle this week. Huskies beat Colorado 37-10 at Colorado. Manhandled them. Beat them like the Seahawks used to beat teams as well.
But this is the second time in a row. I mean, because they played them in the Pac-12 championship game.
Second time in a row.
Yeah, and smoked them, and they smoked them again.
Myles Gaskin, career high. 202 yards on 27 carries.
Beautiful.
I told you I was waiting for him to break out.
Beautiful.
He broke out
in
a big way. The defense, 5 sacks and 7 tackles for loss. Jordan Miller with 2 interceptions. Miles Bryant, a 37-yard pick 6. They dominated Colorado. Sad part of the game, my guy, Chico McClatcher, out with the ankle injury. Broke it just like I broke mine. Sent pain all through my body once again. He'll be back, though. Get that red shirt year. Chico, you'll be back better than ever. What's going down in the town? Pep, this Friday night.
Okay.
Seattle Prep.
Yeah.
Versus O'Day High School. At West Seattle Stadium, Friday night at 7 p.m., the Seattle Prep Panthers versus the O'Day Fighting Irish. It is, ladies and gentlemen, the oldest high school rivalry in the city of Seattle. Probably the state of Washington, I would imagine.
Wow.
The oldest. It is over 100 years old.
Who has the edge?
O'Day, of course. O'Day's a football school, man.
I
don't even know the last time we beat O'Day in football. It's been a minute.
Yeah. I think Trump was in divers.
That's been a long time. I don't know. How much time do we got left on the broadcast? 2 minutes? All right.
2 minutes, Dougie Fresh.
Hey, it's been, I want to thank all of y'all for listening to Rainier Avenue Radio.World and Lidline Sports with myself and Renault Pepe Bean. Before we aired tonight on Rainier Avenue Radio.World, there was a special panel discussion on Donald Trump's insane rant and a talk on sports and racism. That will air in a, I think, 4-part series. So tune in for that. That is hosted by Rainier Avenue World sports director Rick Dupree, host of the show On One with Dupe.
One-on-one with Dupe.
On One with Dupe. It's one-on-one with Dupe?
Yeah, one-on-one.
Oh, it's On One with Angela Wright.
Yeah.
See, that's why you need a co-host. You need somebody to straighten you out.
Hey.
That's my man, Pep.
Yes, sir.
On behalf of Renault Pepe Bean,
that's me.
I'm Granville Emerson. Thank you for listening to Lidline Sports. You can listen to Lidline Sports on Rainier Avenue Radio.World, as well as listen on Facebook. Check out our Facebook page, Lidline Sports. You can watch us on YouTube. Just search Lidline Sports. And on Twitter at Lidline Sports. Join us next week for more great sports talk on Lidline Sports with Renault Pepe Bean. That's the new sports as we see it from
just below our lid.
Holla
Sports! I know you like that.
I do. I love that.
You like?
Oh, you guys, I used to listen to KJR with my dad and stuff, but I hate it now. Like, they do not do it.
I'll get to the Seahawks game.